Refresh my memory.
Thinking, well,
How are you?
jail.
Yeah.
Shop.
It's not my, yep, nope.
It's just
What I
way.
can do, you know where I'm at.
It's too bad because the house.
Chair.
Often,
Uh,
you know, and then have the ambulance parked there and.
Yeah.
Rest for the
Yeah.
sheriff.
No, but we looked at his thing.
An agenda.
And I said. It's left. All that.
Some of those buildings look bigger than they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we.
Everybody in here.
No, so we've looked at that.
Yeah, we're just. They're situated. It's 10:02. We're gonna call the finance. First order of business is election of the chair.
Who's chair if needed that?
Vice chair if needed. How does that work? You want to do the? Want me to do it?
Up to you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Election of chair. So is there any nominations for chair of finance committee?
Nominate Jim Meyer.
Any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? If not, I would entertain a motion to close nominations. That's unanimous ballot.
Close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for.
There's a second
I'll second that one.
favor. Okay, it passes. You have to do vice chair.
Looking for any nominations for vice chair. Are there many nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate Jeremy Vincent.
All right, nominate Jeremy Vincent.
Great.
Any other nominations for vice chair?
Sorry.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Mr. Vincent for vice chair.
Make a motion to close nominations and cast a unanimous ballot for Jeremy Vincent.
Is there, hearing that from Mr. Undershoots, is there a second to that nomination? Or I will second that. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
I oppose, same sign.
Yeah.
Mr. Vincent is vice. Next order of business is approval of the minutes from the July 17th meeting.
I barely made it here this morning.
Motion to approve the minutes from the July 17th meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 17th meeting.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Vincent. We have a second.
Second.
A second from Mr. Undershoots. Any more discussion? additions, changes? Hearing none. All those in favor of the minutes from July 17th meeting, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Next order of business, public comment. Minutes per person. 30 minutes, agenda items only. Do you have any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to we have some schedules in here today, but I'm thinking we should probably wait on how to do this. Well, we have these reports. I think we might as well go through these reports and then look at doubling the agenda. So my thought right now, looking at this. Go ahead, Missy.
All right, so, as far as tax deed goes, we have 13 taxpayers, 13 parcels that are still in tax deed. 10 of those is what I will be discussing with finance at some point. We're gonna sell 10 of the 13, 3 of them are making payments, so, in RAM, right now, we have 97 taxpayers, which is 141 tax parcels. July interest and penalties together was $4,557.71. And just still continuing to work through CD renewals and getting the best rate. I have been working with ADM on more long-term investments with those, and kind of the most they want to go out is 12 months. So I'm trying to plan ahead a little bit more and using ADM as that resource. That's pretty much all I have.
And take advantage of those interest rates while we have them, right?
Yeah, yeah. The longer term, a little bit less than what we can get for 12 months, but again, I'm looking at 15, 18, 24, 30 months. Just a little bit less. So, and if the market really goes up again, we can just revisit and see if it's worth taking a penalty to get a higher rate. But right now, you're not finding much people going out more than 12 months. So take advantage of what it can get.
I think it's a great strategy given, I think that we all, at least I expect to see lower interest rates in the coming years. So good strategy.
You also have, you want to address your monthly budget report form right away?
Okay.
And you may not have to come back.
Afternoon.
You have to do them down later.
I think I'm supposed to be at quarter.
Budget,
Oh,
the monthly report,
yeah, this one. Oh,
the monthly.
nothing really outstanding. The only thing that I think maybe by the end of the year, line item might be office supplies, but you know, I came into a lot of envelopes that Vernon had pre-printed. So instead of just reordering envelopes, add address labels, we could repurpose the envelopes that we were on hand. So, and now we had to order envelopes for tax bills. So I may, by the end of the year, just be over on that line item, but overall, I think we're still gonna be under budget.
They did. But 1,000 or less.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's no need to change the projected expenditure line for this year at this time, you said?
No, because that's the overall. Yeah, I will be under that.
Not this morning, but
Plat book, we don't have any expenses this year. It's all revenue. Next year we will have it because we're doing plat next. Set the tax deed, just we'll see how the sale goes. I mean, there's no way to this point. First year, I don't know how to predict. But I do know we would be selling 13 properties. Somebody comes in at the last minute. Clear things out. And our court date, I mentioned our court date, that Rich will be going is September 24th. Pretty much taxpayers have until that day or sooner to they are whatever is due from 2021.
all right, anybody have any more questions from any? Okay, hearing none.
So this was in your packets, same stuff that I've been including all year. So we have the P&Ls for the joint management buildings, the P&Ls for county owned. And then in addition to our budget amendment and transfer worksheet. So starting with joint management, the Forest One building will take a loss this year just because of repair costs that are going into that. And the city is reimbursing on the utilities, I think for the first 2 quarters of the year. And then I believe INDEC was taking that over, but there are no, that lease did not stipulate that INDEC would pay any rent for 2025. So the repair costs will be a loss on that building. And then the only reason that Forest 2 is not a loss for the same reasons is because we have the land lease going into that building. It's there. Otherwise, the rest of the buildings for now are looking okay. The joint management committee did forward their budgets to finance, and they are looking at potentially some capital costs coming in 2026.
You think that the year with the overall profit of things? I know we have like blowers coming up and other stuff.
Well, when you factor in like the budget amendments that we've done, the buildings, if they don't take a loss because you're pulling out of the fund balance. I mean, as far as like major projects coming in the next couple of months that could take anything, yeah.
If it came out of the fund balance, it doesn't show up as an expense line.
Because it's an internal fund, you have to transfer in, the expenses have to match the revenues. Like on a P&L, it's going to show up as a loss, but at the end of the year, no, expenses and revenues equal out. So for county property, looking like normal here as well. We had a couple unanticipated expenses at the Tony Rail Yard. But there's plenty of revenue to cover that. The old hospital site, the revenues are so high because of that sale that hit early in the year. And then Lake Avenue again should never have any expenses. That's a triple net.
Please.
It is. And then just again, keeping a running tally of all of the amendments and transfers that have impacted the 2025 budget thus far. As Phil mentioned, you do have one additional amendment before you for 2025. And then there's also a resolution for some transfers to help close out 2024. Not reflected here because they haven't come before the board yet. And then in just a little bit more detail update from the personnel committee. They have forwarded a recommendation to finance that if it's feasible and fiscally responsible to look at doing a pay increase for the general staff in 2026 within the budget process. For joint management, we have an amendment coming forward for work at Forest Industrial 1. The ad hoc construction committee has forwarded back to the board funding consideration for both the highway and the jail projects. We should be closing fairly soon. I'm not sure if Phil has more of an in-depth update on the sale out at the old hospital property, and then no update for Lake Avenue.
The closing.
Or a date, did a date,
We do not. That I assume it would occur in the next 2 weeks would be my guess, but there's no firm date. But the lender's good to go, so they're good to proceed. It's just getting the date, get the ducks in a row.
and as a reminder, that was for the Flambeau Outfitters.
And that the purchase proceeds go into the old hospital site.
Yes. Yep, so the expenses, if there were any, and the revenues will be reflected.
Does anyone talk to, I mean, is that a good thing for us to continue that fund or being?
So this is essentially a levy reduction. Yep. It's not being allocated, it's not pulled into any type of special revenue fund or anything like that. It just reduces the levy at the end of the year.
Anything else?
Is all.
Any questions from Heath? All right, next up, we have a clerk's report.
Marriage license, we have 38 for 2025. We have 33 cutting permits. Have 2,542 dog licenses for 2025. Public records requests, we're up to 255 a year. And that. Much more going on. We're going there, Walter. Walter's part of pretty much every one of them.
Okay, any questions on the clerk's report? Hearing none, we will move on to we have.
Yep, budget stuff.
What's that?
Let me look at my budget stuff.
Oh, you have your budget, sorry, you have your monthly budget report forms. I need to go through them. Yep, might as well do that now.
Got them up on the. Concerns. For some reason, I'm over on printing and I don't know why. I'm having problems with the printer, but in my office, every time it's printing, it's probably sometimes up to 15 pages a night. I did contact IT. They can't fix it. They took my printer up to their office trying to get into the password. I have called into the company to have them come fix it. So I'm over. It's just saying that it's active or alive. It's really weird. So, I won't be over on the overall budget. I have county board too. That's county board.
Do you want me to go to clerk?
Nope, that's county board.
So do we need to change that projected expenditure line on there?
Savings in another line.
Well, we're not really, but we've got time, right? I can probably do that next month when we're getting closer. I mean, how do you do that when you really don't know?
Have to cut per diems for the rest of the year.
Is that an option? Kidding.
Well, the only thing is that I did ask that before. And you can only vote on the next actions is so. That way you're not setting your own because it could be taken advantage of.
It is going to be over, for litigation reasons as well. So I'm I'm sure that budget's gonna be over. Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit more next month. Right, I didn't see the county board. The next one. Library, that's,
County board telephone one now. So
and that,
that one we're saving. on.
we are saving on that now because now we don't have the cell phone. That's gone. So that is a good thing. The library, does everybody understand that part of it? We make a payment every month to the city. And then that's also, I believe, payout. Every library that touches the county, I'm in charge of that one too. So if it touches the county, then we get if anybody uses that library, then they bill us. And we do the same, so it's kind of an in and out. There's no concerns there. Tax,
In there, we need a decimal in there. Year-to-date expenditures, that will have to need correction. This morning.
and the county clerk. I'm over on a couple, but like I said, I should be over. Overall, I should not be.
You're over by 91.
And there's another 132632. Transfers. I would transfer that. It's the printing that I'm over on. The software was 9136. And there's one more. Nope, that's it. But overall, I should not be.
So software went up or it was just a
It
subscription?
went up a little bit. Yep. And that was for, when you guys do a resolution, it's like the codification stuff. That's what that was. Codification of records. So, you know, when you guys do a resolution, we pass it on to them and they submit that to them. That's about.
The last one.
I did put my budget in there too, just the overall budget in case you guys wanted to see it.
Lay down on the desk to read that.
What's that?
So you have to lay down on the
Just
desk to read.
Yeah.
No, you go like this, Dave. It's right. All kinds of like that, the scanners. Okay, we got any more questions on clerk's report?
Do we have, and I want this to stay brief, but do we have a way to quantify the impact of the open records request? Did we ever get like an hour count or a cost to the county to fulfill going on?
There's a resolution that you guys put in place. And Rich can kind of say a little bit about this too. Location is $50 or over. Am I correct, Rich?
If the cost to locate it is $50 over, then you can charge for it. Otherwise you can't.
Right, right. But do we know what the hour impact is to the county staff?
Well, I would have no idea what that is.
Anything like that?
Actually, we're getting pretty good at it, aren't we?
Okay.
It
I mean,
depends.
I recently had one that I had to outsource for, and that one's taken a little while, and it's, I had to go to another law firm for it. So that's kind of a little bit of a problem, but, I'm almost to the end of that. The time for that one has probably added up more than I thought it would. I thought it was going to be simple, and you get into it and it's like, okay, now it's
It takes hours to fulfill a request sometimes.
sometimes.
Yeah. And the ticket could be open for a long time, right? That's a,
It can be, because sometimes it's subject to,
I-
yeah, it's subject to things that are beyond our control. And so I don't know, we have one particular one that wants, insurance documents by the quarter for the last 10 years.
Take a while to fill. Sure.
Because we have to reach out to another company to what we need. And they're like, well, why do you need this? So then I go to Rich. And it's like, because you need it.
That's something that I think I might try to I don't know if we can challenge you guys to come up with some numbers there, but I'd like to know like how many hours we're spending. You know, what the costs of the county for these requests are, so that if we're ever talking to, let's say, other county boards, or we hear their metrics, we're prepared to find out if they're handling them differently
I
or.
can get that off the system.
Yeah.
And I can actually make another template to show.
Yeah, because
It can be more in depth. So I'll just call the company and have it I'll have them do a more in depth inquiry. But I need their help. I tried doing it this morning a little bit. And
it's difficult.
maybe IT would know a little bit more too, so.
Their time sheet, so when Walt's doing open records, he can sign
Absolutely.
physically.
I think, I'm not sure I can direct you guys what to do, but if you have a solve, I would enable you guys.
It's a lot.
I spend quite a bit of time on open records
I
requests.
do too. It stops you from doing your real.
Yeah, none of them individually really go over the point where we would need to charge them.
But it's so many.
But so many open records requests that I spend a lot of time. Sometimes I have to read through 1,000 emails to try and parse down to what they're looking for.
I have one right now with 423 pages I need to go to.
And that was what I parsed down to her.
So 423 pages. I can't send that to Rich. I can't. This stuff.
How many hours does it take you to read 423?
So that's, I direct her to go through it and let me know if they have questions, because otherwise it would take me.
Take weeks to try.
And I mean, I really have to be careful. You really have to, you gotta zero in on that. And
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, open records is an important part of government, right? It's there to make sure that we're being held accountable to the things that we're saying and our mission here at the county. But at the same time, I would like to know the impact. So if the impact is approaching something like 1 FTE or like a full equivalent head for a month or something like that,
being there.
we need to start talking about, what can we do to.
I can tell you alone, just for this quarter, and we're not in September, July, I had 60, and so far in August, I had 53. So this quarter alone, I had 113.
Yeah, those are the metrics I'm looking for.
But-
Let's go ahead.
Let's remember that for next month. We'll put something, if you can just bring it voluntarily, or if that's not what we want, then we'll stick with one word on that. And I think to your point, it'd be good for us to know, because that would help us a little bit budget too.
And it may be too late to cycle, but in the coming, as winter approaches, we could probably develop that reporting.
Would you want to help if I get documents, would you like me to go to you so we can bring back what you're thinking of?
Sure. If you want to help, yeah, if you want to see what we would put up on the screen here, yeah, I could help develop that.
Okay.
I'm sure it's going to be pretty simple spreadsheets. Okay.
Hey, Mr. IDP.
Simple.
Simple person.
All right, any more questions on the clerk? Report. All right, now we're gonna go to the finance director's report, if that's feasible.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. First things first, collection on back taxes and deeds taken. Year to date, we are at $206,000 through July. When you compare it to the 4-year average collections through the same period, of $198,000 and change. It's about $7,000 positive. If you look at year to date from last year, it's up to $20,524. For sales tax, that is collected 2 months in arrears. So this information is through May. May collections are $545,871. And that is about $92,000 over the budget. And as you recall, last month we then did we broke out the budget based on 4-year historical actual collections, and so it's up about $92,000. If we look just at comparing it to fiscal 24, we're up about $20,000 or about 3.9%. Any questions on either of those reports? Okay, and then the budget reports, finance is pretty much on track. 2 things that I'd like to call out is on page 1, insurance. We were supposed to bill that back in July. We didn't get to it, so we'll do that in August, but there's really no concerns. The other thing I'll call out is on page 8. That was for the sale of the RCMH building. There is actual revenue collected of $139,000. It's zero in the budget, and so that positive variance should carry. I don't have much background on the use of it. I think Ashley may have touched on it earlier. Everything else is pretty much on track for fiscal 25. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Anyone have any questions? Right. Hearing none. Thank you. We need to look at number 11.
It's 10, 11, 12. I believe are all
Okay, if there's no objections, I'm gonna jump ahead to number 10 under discussion of possible motion for the discussion of the overall relationship and structure of Rusk County and Rusk County Transit Commission. Any objections, gentlemen? Okay, that's what we will do then.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Hi, you all know who I am. Dave Willingham. I happen to also be the chair of the Rusk County Transit Commission. I have with me Mr. Boss, who is our Finance Committee Chairman, Jennifer Shear, who's a member of the Commission Board, and our Director, Carol Kisling-Werner. I remember names. And our finance person, Tammy Loomis. And we are appreciative of this opportunity to speak to the Finance Committee. And thank you for moving us up on the agenda, even though we were enormously entertained by all the previous matters that you've been picking up. I think it would be helpful to give a, probably not as brief as you'd like to hear, explanation or history lesson on the existence of what we now call the Rusk County Transit Commission. The Rusk County Transit Commission, or really the transportation services provided by the Rusk County Transit Commission, began probably about 60 years ago. and was started by Indian Head Community Action Agency and funded primarily by dollars that community action agencies receive from what's known as community service block grants. There was considerably money in the community service block grants back in those days. They've been dwindling down just about ever since. But Indian Head was foresaw the opportunity as well as the need for public transportation. Transportation services in Rusk County are probably one of the oldest rural public transportation systems in the state of Wisconsin. In fact, when the program was originally started, as I said, it was under the auspices of the Community Action Agency. About the early 70s, it became apparent that there were some opportunities for road transportation services to change their structure somewhat and take advantage of a couple of things that were available. Two things that were available. One, as a nonprofit organization, the Community Action Agency had access to grants and revenues that were only available to nonprofit corporations or organizations, while at the same time the county as a municipality governmental body had access to funds and revenues that are only available to counties or other municipal entities. So it became prudent to create a new partnership. And under Wisconsin statutes, the county created a quasi-governmental body known as a Rusk County Transportation Authority under the statute. Because Indian Head had acquired a certain number of assets in the operations of the transportation service, at that time, at least, it seemed prudent to transfer those assets over to the county under the Transportation Authority. At the same time, my old organization, which is now called Westlake Enterprises, had a couple of vans that we used for transporting people with disabilities to service programs. We turned those vehicles over to the Transportation Authority. And then the Transportation Authority also assumed responsibility for a program that I believe is called 8520. And this is a program that was available to the Health and Human Services Department for transportation for seniors and persons with disabilities.
8521.
Or the 8521. I was only off by. But anyway, the Transportation Authority took that. The Transportation Authority Board was created and operated the program, but contracted at that time for administration with Indian Head Community Action Agency. It was also supplied additional funding through the community service block grants, and they ended up actually supplementing program losses over the years, which to their chagrin, they were never able to recover. So along comes 2014, and there were some issues with the Transportation Authority structure because of competition purposes and the private sector. Even when Indian had operated the program back in the 60s, every time they submitted their applications to the federal government or to the state for federal dollars, they had to contact every private transportation provider in the county and get them to sign off and say, we're not interested in applying for these grant funds. So every guy that owned a school bus in Rusk County, it was even a guy that owned a taxi service in Ladysmith, they all had to sign off and say they didn't want to compete for those funds. But there were other technicalities in the application process, became very, very complicated to the point where the Transportation Authority believed they would have to actually secure a consultant and pay out some consulting fees in order to have somebody prepare those applications every year. So it became again prudent for consideration of another quasi-governmental body under Wisconsin statutes called a commission. And so in 2014, Russ County, the city of Ladysmith, and Indian Head Community Actions Agency prepared a charter, which was then adopted by the city, the county, and the Indian Head to create a quasi-governmental body known as Transportation Commission. For whatever reason, it seemed prudent at the time to leave the assets of the previous entities within the county. So the county owned the vehicles that were used for transportation, even though if the program were to dissolve, or those vehicles would go back to the funding source. So the county really owned them only in name and for purposes of coverage and insurance and a few other things. I should also mention that one of the results of the original partnership was the building that we know as a transit garage and forestry department building out on by the highway department. Indian Head Community Action Agency secured a grant back in the day. The county provided the property and some matching funds, and they got the grant to build that building with the understanding that half of the building would be used for the forestry department, the other half would be used for the transportation program. The building would belong to the county, and transit would use that building without paying any rent in perpetuity. So that's where we're at right now. The important thing to stress about the Transportation Commission is that it is a quasi-governmental body created by the county and the city and the Indian Head, and its board members are appointed by the county, the city, and the Community Action Agency. While the assets technically belong to the county, they really belong to the quasi-governmental body called the Transit Commission. And there have been a number of changes recently in how the State Department of Transportation looks at Russ County and the Transit Commission in regards to the Transit Commission's assets, particularly the cash assets that have accumulated. So that's basically why we are here, to hopefully resolve some differences of understanding about the dollars that are being held by the county and the county treasury that were a portion of revenues that were received by the county, but on behalf of the Transit Commission. And that's where we're at. I don't know if anybody has questions about it, but the changes that took place at the state level, which are significant, and why we are here really has to do with the fact that the 8521 program, which provides what we call the driver escort program or volunteer driver program, is one of the only entities in transportation business that can actually make money or not expend all of its revenues and keep the excess revenues. So we provide transportation, we charge the customer for a portion of the cost. That program is supplemented by the program. We get a modest matching dollars from the county for that program. But when at the end of the year, if you have money left over, the organization is able to keep that money. And in order to justify doing that, the state created something called the trust fund. Those dollars went into the trust fund, and there were a certain number of limitations placed on how you use that dollar. But the primary purpose was to use as that matching funds for replacing the vehicles as they age out. We were required to have a 20% match for capital grants. And so that's where that money was used. A number of years ago, every annual contract that with the state, the state would hold back 10% of the revenues for the year. It was called, interestingly enough, 10% holdback. And at the end of the year, or whenever an audit was prepared by the by the State Department of Transportation, they would reconcile the contract with, and if we were overpaid, we had to pay back a certain amount, and that would come out of that 10% holdback. Or if we were balanced, we would get that 10%.
I just like to clarify, that 10% money was ours to begin with.
Yes, yeah, it was part of the contract. So eventually, the state accidentally, we believe, forgot to hold back the 10%. This is probably during COVID. They sent the money to the county and then said, oh, we shouldn't have done that, but we don't want it back, just hold it. And so for practical purposes, I think decision was made, I believe, to just include that 10% in the trust fund or in the county's holdings, but it belongs to the program. The county could not use it for other purposes, or at least should not use it for other purposes. So the state has changed its position. They have instructed us to spend out the trust fund and no longer place our excess revenues from the 8521 program in the trust fund. We are permitted to keep those funds for and use them for the same purposes and perhaps even other purposes that were previously restricted by the rules of the trust fund. And they also said that they no longer consider the holdback funds, even though they forward them to us, they no longer consider them theirs until the audits are completed and they determine whether they're owed back to the state or whether we get to keep them. I should mention that the state is about 5 years at least behind in conducting their annual audits. So I believe they're working on what 2019 audit, state audit for the transportation program is still being prepared. So
That's a year.
you were screwing up in 2019. You've been screwing up since 2019, and that could have detrimental effects on how your audit turns out. But anyway, it is a position of the Rusk County Transit Commission that we are not a contract agency. We're not a nonprofit corporation. We are a quasi-governmental body created by the county and the city and Indian Head. And therefore, we are capable of owning the assets of the, and by state statute, the Transit Commission does own its own assets. So we're looking to move the assets that have been previously held by the county to be under the control of the Transit Commission. So maybe Mr. Summerfield has some.
And we're talking about 15,978, right?
We're talking about 140,000.
140,000. So my opinion on this is that the county should do it. This is why they're here. They don't like that opinion. They want you guys to allow them to transfer that. Pursuant to the grant application that was done, it says a variety of things that Rusk County remains as the recipient under the ultimate control and is responsible that the grant proceeds are used for the intended purpose as described in that grant. If you guys just go ahead and release those funds to them, you don't have any control on what those funds are going to be used for. So Baker Tilly is of the same opinion as well. So that's, I guess.
Wait a minute, Rich. The grant applicant is Rusk County Transit Commission, not Rusk County.
The grant application that I was provided is a 2024 Specialized Transportation Assistance Grant Agreement between the state of Wisconsin and the county of Rusk.
That is the 8521. That's what you're referring to.
That one belongs to you because
That is yours.
that comes through the Health and Human
That
Services.
goes through Health. and
All the
Human
rest
Services.
are
Yeah.
in the Rusk County Transit Commission.
So I think
Yeah.
there's a confusion between the two grants and the two amounts that we're speaking of.
5311 program is
8521 or the 8520.
8521 that.
That's the contract that I was.
That's Health and Human Services contract, and that's yours.
Okay, so that's the one that,
We just administrate it for you. All the rest of
yes. And
all
so,
the rest of the contracts that we get, they don't state are ours. They're under our name. That funds that is coming in are part of our operation.
Okay, so I haven't seen that.
Okay, we can provide you with that.
Again, that's where my opinion is based upon.
You're right. We're here to, tell you where they're really, the decision by Baker Tilly was incorrect. Except it was correct for 8521, but not for the.
I think based upon the emails that I've reviewed with them, that I don't know that they've been provided the other documents as well.
Talk about Baker Tilly?
Mhm.
No, the contracts. The contracts for all the other revenue.
State Department of Transportation.
When we had conversations or email conversations with Baker Tilly, I believe you were only in on the, on this one. I think you were in on this one, but not with Baker Tilly, I didn't.
Well,
Yeah,
I was,
sorry, if I could chime in, this is Chris Bingham from Baker Tilly. We did have a resolution for 8520, and that was to pay the back audits for the $41,858. So there are two separate programs here. We were under the impression that it was controlled by the county. We did send it to law to have them review it as well. I think that our concern was with the audit findings from 2015 to 2018, that exceeded the amount of the holdback. We still have about $160,000, including that $15,978 held for the future audits. And as we discussed, 19 through 24 audits are still pending. So that is why we thought it was in the best interest to hold those funds as the audits come through, because we're unsure if there's going to be an amount due or an amount refunded.
yeah, and to piggyback on that, even if the grant would allow the county to do it based upon those reasons, my opinion is the county shouldn't do it. Should not do it.
I should add that the Department of Transportation agrees with our interpretation. And indeed, our interpretation was based on their guidance and their advice. They advised us that no longer were the 10% holdback funds, for lack of a better description, those 10% were no longer bound to the year
Correct.
from which they were created. They were just a part of the funds that we had in excess to hold. And that the obligation to use those funds to pay back the outcomes of the audits would be on the organization that holds the funds. So if they transfer the funds to a fund held by and controlled by the Trans Commission, you have to pay those back if those audits came out to require money to be paid back.
But what if the Transit Commission doesn't have those monies? This way, Russ County has the monies to do that in the event that occurs.
Department of Transportation no longer considers those funds holdback.
Okay, but the state has changed their method, and they've said that money in their opinion is spent the minute we get it. What we do with it is part of our operation. There's no such thing as a holdback fund anymore.
Right, but what I don't know, Baker Tilly, Chris, if there's these back audits that require a repayment.
Yeah.
Where's that money?
We have paid those ever since we've been in operation.
So
County
the
has the money available to pay those. The process by which we paid for the 13 through 16.
15 through 18.
15 through 18.
Yep.
But they had asked us for 15, which was a $40,000 payment. We owed them 40,000. So I came up with the idea that why don't we take a block of years to reduce that amount of money from 40,000 to 60, I think it was 16, something in the neighborhood
Some years we owed, some years they owed us.
We owed us, we're back and forth. So they, after a conversation with him and a discussion, they agreed that they would take the block 15 through 18 and settle that right now. So we jumped on that opportunity. That's what the money that he's talking about was used for, that was taken out of the funds, hold back, but we all hold back funds.
So is the money now currently going directly to the transit commission, or is it still going through the county?
The money is coming to the transit.
Why is it going through the county? County have any responsibility or liability associated with it going through their hands?
Going through the county's hands?
Yeah. Like if, let's say RTTC defaulted,
That is,
would the
that,
county be liable?
just the way the procedure has been.
And that never changed when the,
It has never, we don't have to go through the county.
That might simplify things if you
I
want.
think, well, it's the same thing with the vehicles. We've got all of our vehicles are now titled in the county's name for one purpose, so that we can get the value, the benefit of a municipal license on our buses. So we buy the buses, give them to the county. County leases them back to us. This is a relationship that has worked some time and it's been very effective for us. And we don't have to do that. We don't have a responsibility to do that, but it's an advantage for the two of us. Do that.
Was it more of a thing to get the program started? Is that kind of the concept behind all of this? And now what I'm kind of hearing is maybe it's gotten to the point where may not need the assistance that you did to get started.
Well, we're a total different organization than it was started years ago, being a commission. If we were set up as without any prior history, commission would be a separate government entity. So we would be operating, and that's the problem right now. The relationship between us has changed from the concept of a public, contract, a public entity, to one where we are treated like we're a
contracted service provider, and we are not.
No, we are not. So, and then we're treated like we're another county government operation. That up there, when we get to talking about that there, what's up there is the billing that we got is a classic example of how we're now being treated. So, our relationship is changing and we don't want that relationship to change. The relationship that we have now is very, we're working together to do the job, to get the job. We've done a lot in the last 10 years since I've been there to make that operation a more responsible operation, and one that my intent was to get rid of the audit, to teach our staff, look at the processes we're doing and make sure that what we're doing is following guidelines presented to us by the federal government and by the DOT. I don't know if you guys work with DOT very much, but they're a pain in the neck. They have all kinds of rules and regulations that we have to follow. So, but they're really good to us. There's only 3 of us in the state that have commissions. They're learning how to operate with the commission. So it's
DOT does not treat us as a contract provider.
No.
They treat us as a commission
as a separate.
under the Wisconsin statutes, which govern commission. I seem to remember, I don't know if the commission has, but the old Transportation Authority, believe it or not, this will make you shudder, actually had the authority to levy taxes. Did you know that? Yeah, I don't know whether the commission does or not, but the authority never did that, so you can be thankful for that. But and we've also, I may not want to stir this pot too much, but we've also, in some respects, ignored the other 2 entities, which are these or not the contract, but the charter signatures to the commission. City of Ladysmith contributes matching dollars for our grants and has no hold on the assets that the county is continuing to hold. So, and again, I don't know whether Baker Tilly had access to the instructions and guidance that came to us from the Department of Transportation. But the Department of Transportation definitely has changed how they see or how they view these funds. They no longer tie them to the year. When they now give us 100%. And we prudently reserve a portion of those funds to cover. The interesting thing about this transportation program, which is very unique in one way, is it is almost impossible for the 85-20 or the 53-10 or 11 programs to make money. Because this is how the budget works. You create a budget estimate of what you think you could do based on guidelines that they say, you don't exceed, you don't ask for billions. Then you subtract whatever revenues you were able to generate from rider fares, contracts that the commission has with Westlake Enterprises and maybe other entities to provide transportation, any other donations, whatever comes in. You subtract that from the budget, and what's left, you split. The state pays 50% and you pay the other 50%. Our 50% comes primarily from the relatively modest amount of money that the county contributes for matching funds. I think we get $18,000 from the county for those programs. County is getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in services for $18,000. And then we provide most of the rest of the matching dollars through in-kind contributions and meticulously documenting every time the board meets, we get some in-kind donations through our donated time, et cetera. So, but there's no way for you, if you make more money than you spend, you lose it. You can lose money, you can break even, but you can't make money. And that's what creates problems when we lose money. You can't make it up next year like a business would. So that's why the commission feels that we should be able to utilize those funds, and the state has reduced the restrictions on those for how they are held and how they're used.
The commission ever thought about making it more of a county-wide transit thing? Because like right now, it's pretty limited to Ladysmith and within a few miles out. Because I know I live like miles out of town, and I called if I could get a ride from my house, and they said they don't go that far outside of Lady.
Well, we have established routes at this time. So, those routes are organized by the people that we transport for Westlake. So, but if you're on that route, you can certainly get on. We can go 2 miles in and 2 miles back off of the established route.
You go like
I'm going to Hawkins.
Warehouser, stuff like that.
Warehouser, yeah.
It's a demand responsive service. We have some fixed routes, but most is demand responsive. So if you live outside the city limits,
Yeah, and
obviously the cost would be different than the fares that are charged around town. But
I noticed that some of the language, that 85.20 language was talking about urban centers in a
yeah,
25
obviously,
limit. So I think it makes sense that it's seated. That's right. That's required.
Well, we provide transportation to Eau Claire, to Rice Lake, the Mayo Clinic, to
All over. I think,
we also,
from wherever.
by the way, we also save the county a considerable amount of cost because we transport veterans to the Veterans Hospital in Eau Claire, in the Twin Cities, and I think maybe to Toma as well. But that's an old program that used to be operated by the VSO program. And I can remember times when the veteran service officer spent as much as half of his time providing that transportation for veterans to the Twin Cities. So, and that's a program that the county operated for many years, but now is done by us. Oh,
I think
We kind of run 10 and 11 together here now for about the last 15 minutes, but I knew that was gonna happen when I read both.
yeah.
But so is there any more discussion? Otherwise, I think we should focus on number 11, actual request to remove the funds from the 8520 grant.
I just want to comment on 10. I think that the established relationship, the time that Russ County and the transit authorities work together has all been very valuable. And I think that it's a good relationship, and at least this board person wants to maintain good relations with the transit authority, whatever happens today.
It was a good history lesson.
And yes, it was a good history lesson.
Well, it was Mr. Willingham. Did you expect any?
Yeah.
It was Mr. Willingham. Did you expect any less than a history lesson?
Warned us ahead of time, in all fairness.
Started at 10.
So, oh, you have something more, Ms. William?
I'm just, would like, at least at the very minimum, to allow the commission to at least access its funds and use them without requiring approval by the county to use those funds. As you know, because they're in the county's treasury, the county is collecting interest on them.
Earned on that, stay within the fund. I don't think that would
I
go to
don't think so.
county's general fund.
The 8520, we received no interest on this 147. We do receive interest on the 8521 trust fund, which the county has to hold. But we do not receive any interest on the 8520 10% so-called funds.
And the trust fund is going away when it's expended. We're no longer, the county and the transit commission are no longer required to have a trust fund. And it was the trust fund's rules and restrictions that were partly holding the holdback money, you know. Because they were, at the time, DOT instructed us not to use those funds. We had to hold them back, and so the county was holding them in the trust fund. But not really, but in the same way. So, and now those funds all come to the commission. And we're getting the check and we're giving it to the county, and then the county's turning around and gives it back. Make a lot of, doesn't make a lot of sense either.
What's a little baffling to me here right now is, and I don't remember, probably did something here, or maybe you guys asked for it, but 2019, if it's saying a 10% reserve was held, there's not 10% there according to these numbers right now. It's 10,948.50.
It's part of the funds to pay the 2018 through the 2018 overages.
Okay, that was used out of there.
It's part of that.
Okay.
That's the remaining balance.
Okay.
Does state that in the cell right next to it.
Now,
Read it.
And as Dave said,
There you go.
to this day, we're not required to keep that 10% out of the funds anymore.
But that started in 2025. Correct? Based upon that chart, because you have zero on the 10% holdback. So I guess my concern would be if there is a deficit in 19 through 24 and we give that money away, the county's still responsible for it.
You're giving it away. You're giving it to one of your.
Understood, but right now, if there's a deficit, the county can write that check. By
The deficit, we can't write the check. If the deficit is ours. It is
Understood, but
ours.
There's a deficit, you won't get the bill.
just hold on one time here.
What happened for the 2015 to 2018 is we received a bill and we submitted it to the county to pay. It should have been a payable. They should have cut the check, sent it to the DOT. That is not what happened. The county, put it to a resolution and we ended up paying over $2,400 to get 2 checks cut to the DOT because they charged us for their time, Baker Tilly's time, all this time. So when you go on to our 2 bills that we received this year, it's costing us thousands of dollars to have the county send the check to the DOT.
Right, but
So
that's,
we are trying to save ourselves this cost by putting it in an account we have access to. So when the bill comes, we can just cut the check and send it on without all of this paperwork and background and expense. So if you look at your thing and see the 2 bills we received, you'll see how.
so that relates to those 2 bills up there, but
We're getting, yeah.
we're getting ahead of
We're
ourselves.
getting ourselves here now.
So,
So I'd like to, if we're done with discussion, I'd like to move to 11 so that Rich can explain more in depth his thoughts on that.
Okay, so my concern would be that rule changed in 2025. I'm finding a lot of the stuff out just right now too. So based upon that, if there's a deficiency for the audit between 2019 and 2024, okay, and this money's transferred to RCTC, okay, and they don't have it, does that ultimately fall back on West County to pay that?
No, and the rule has not changed in 2025. We just have not received any funds yet in 2025. So we have not set aside any money yet.
technically it has because we decided to do it.
But when we receive the funds, it'll go into an account.
When was notification from the DOT received that 10% wasn't required to be held? I guess that's where I think.
Correct.
But when is that? And do we have something in writing that would be bound that the county could fall back on? That's what we're gonna have to have.
I guess my issue on the county side is I have to, you guys, I need to see that if there's a deficiency for those years, that there's no liability for Russ County.
You know, it's our responsibility to run this operation. Why would we expend those funds if for any purpose whatsoever?
I do have an email from Ian, which is the top person at the DOT. And it does say, I highlighted the bottom part here, but I think in the body of the letter, it says something about the 10% has been discontinued.
It would be eligible to pay for potential repayments to the WSDOT from audit invoices. Well, again, that's eligible to pay those audits. I guess if the county doesn't have that money, then the county can't pay those.
The county isn't billed, the commission is.
Right, so, but if the commission doesn't pay it, okay, does that fall on the Russ County taxpayers to pay it?
I don't think so.
Well, I don't know that answer, but that's the answer I need to say either no or yes, because if no, it doesn't fall back on the taxpayers, I'm okay with it. If there's a risk that if it's not paid by RCTC and it falls back on the taxpayers, I don't think the county should give that up.
The contract is in the Russ County Transit Commission's name.
Currently, but was it back then? And again, even if it's in the commission's name, I need something that I will, let me sleep, that 147,000, if that's gone, that there's no liability for deficient audit.
So now, on the other foot, what makes me stop me from sleeping? A simple majority of this board could take that $140,000 and spend it on whatever they want.
The county board.
The county board does. What me the opportunity to sleep. I know that funds are being by an operation that I am actually involved in.
Understood, but I'm legal representative for the county, so I'd rather
You're the
have the control of the
I'm
county.
Russ, I'm the transit, so you and I are in the same boat.
I'm completely understood.
Thank you.
So if they ask us for the money back and we didn't have it, would the county pay it?
Well,
Or would they ask the city to pay part of it?
that's what I'm saying. I don't know that answer.
But they're not letting the city control any of the funds that.
I understood.
As an equal partner in the charter, city maybe should have some of those funds in there.
The question comes down to liability. Is the county liable? And we don't know yet. What about So right now, we're currently going back, the audits are 5 years behind. What if, you know, you got caught up to like 21 or 22 and kept a couple of years funds back, that'd still give us a reserve. Something happened in one of the earlier audits that.
Well, I'll defer to Baker Tilly on that as well. I mean, their opinion on whether we should do it or not, because they're the ones who are audits.
Yeah, if I can chime in, I think well, first of all, the reason why there was a resolution drafted to the board and not just an accounts payable check is because there were not enough withheld funds to pay the current invoice for 15 to 18. So as the previous finance director left, and I know that, or excuse me, I believe that she has billed for her time in years past. So I think from a billing standpoint, I know we'll get to that. That may be just a timing issue because she was out and then we came in and tried to assist. But we thought we should take it to the board because there hasn't been, you know, a payment for audits in 4 years, and we wanted to get this cleared, but we wanted to send it through all of you with the understanding that we're actually eating into some of the 10% holdback for future years for these past 4 years audits. So I know that we also talked to Rich about it, and it was, you know, better to go that route. And then to his point as well, our concern is exactly what has been stated, is that if these funds get turned over to RCTC, they get spent on new equipment or vans or however they're going to spend it. And then the 2019 to 2024 audits come through with a net deficiency, is the county on the hook for that payment? And, you know, Baker Tilly, we don't know. And it seems like we have to get that question answered because right now I know that RCTC is included as what's called a discrete component unit in the annual financial report. And it's also shown in there that these funds are restricted for the specific purpose as well. So I wanted to touch on that too, is that I don't think, and of course I always defer to law, but I don't think Russ County could spend these funds for a different purpose because it is restricted based on this. So that's a little additional background from our perspective.
Did I hear you say you didn't know for sure?
About what?
You said something about whether the county would have to pay it back
In the event of an
if
audit,
there wasn't enough money in the fund.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I would defer to law on if, and so
But you-
right now, I believe based on the resolution that there's 163,000 remaining in this account after that $41,000 payment when you include the 15,978. If the next 5 years audits come back and the amount due is greater than 163,000, I don't know who would be on the hook for that. We did not look into that.
But you did make a decision, right?
Well, we made a decision that our concern is because 2018 back to 2015's audit was $41,858 due back to the state, and there was only 24,279 withheld. Our decision was the county should hold on to these funds as these other 6 years audits are being completed to make sure that there are funds available to pay back the audit in case there is a deficiency. So that was the advice that we talked through.
If you had, go back to the 15. We had a bill for $40,000 for 15.
Yes.
Did not have the funds in 15 to pay $40,000. So you're telling me that we couldn't take 16's money to pay for 15's overpaying, over amount that we owed?
I'm not saying that.
You're saying about adding the $21 to it?
What I am saying is that there was a bill for the audits 15 through 18 that totaled $41,858. There was only $24,279 that have been set aside with a 10% reserve through 2018. So there was a shortfall. The shortfall was paid out of the 2019 holdback, basically. Well, not basically, it's paid back out of those holdback funds. So that is why we took it to the board, because we had to pay using a future year's reserve for previous year's audits.
But the Department of Transportation said those funds no longer needed to be tied to the year to which they originated, and therefore there was no reason why you couldn't use that money without a resolution.
And that's the reason why they agreed to consolidate was 4 or 5 years.
Yep.
Was because they didn't consider the funds specific to a date, to a year.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm just,
If
when
that's
I
what
talk,
anyways was future years, I mean, it's obviously
Right.
done then.
But, you know,
So it sounds like we need to do a little more research on this.
Well, I mean, yeah, I am not convinced.
They're saying that the state, I mean, sorry, but they're saying that the state is telling them a different, that you haven't received yet, if I'm
No,
understanding.
I don't think the word concern is even about that. I think it's the liability, whether if they pay or not, whether the county's liable or not. I think that's kind of what we.
And where does our liability end? Does it end at 2024?
I have no idea. That's what I'm saying. I don't know those answers. And until those answers are provided, that yes, absolutely not. The Rusk County would not be held liable in the event there's a deficiency for those years. Unless that's 100% yes, then I don't think the county should. And that information I don't think can be provided today.
I would tend to agree from what I've heard now. I'm not saying that this can't be resolved, but I don't see where it can be resolved today.
Correct.
I'm sorry, guys. I know you all came in here, but
I'm not arguing with you, Bob.
from the county standpoint, I don't know how we can.
The purpose was to get a conversation going.
And it was good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the next step in this process today was to talk about the relationship we have and the billing that we got, that we had no idea that was coming. It's not even built into our budget. And under what authority you have to send us a bill for Baker Tilly's time, because we don't involved with Baker Tilly. They're your contractor.
We're given, they should be.
Mr. Chairman, should we be moving on to, this would be point 12, right?
Right.
Let's,
If we're done with 11, then if there's nothing no more further, correct. No more further discussion on 11, we're gonna move into 12, because I knew all three of these were gonna get muddied up.
And
You need something on 11?
I don't need anything on 11. I believe I'm here for 11, so then I will depart and come back when you guys get to
12.
the closed session.
Are you gonna be around? Is it gonna mess up your schedule if I get some other people out of here before we go to that closed? That's what your next is for, if I may.
My next scheduled event is at 12:30.
Is that lunch or is that?
I have an appointment at 12.
To go have a beer.
Mr. Chairman, did we conclude on 11 that the county might be amiable to returning these funds if we clear up the audit question? Or
I think in all honesty, we don't know enough to make any, in my opinion, we don't know enough at this point until Mr. Summerfield can give us more guidance.
You just get on the.
So I think 11 should sit where it's at. We get some more, I mean, another thing, I guess, that could come up that came out of this conversation, not gonna address it now, but next month we could possibly consider if we're going to bill them, I guess, for everything that happens that comes out of this money, maybe we could look at allowing them interest on this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Something to help the relationship.
Something to be considered that if the money were transferred to the commission the commission would place them in a restricted fund so that they could only be used for certain purposes, I think.
And maybe you guys, in further talking between you and Rich, maybe you can come up with some kind of a conclusion that the board can agree on as to where this money does go. Maybe it can go to the Transit Commission with an agreement that it's going to be reserved for this only and they monitor it. I don't know.
For me, it's going to have to be an affirmation from the Department of Transportation that in the event there's a deficiency for years 19 through 24, that there is no liability no matter what happens to the county.
To be honest with you guys, I don't
Once I get that, doesn't make any difference to me, but until I get that,
I don't think anybody in here, guys, is gonna lose any sleep if we have one less budget to go through every year to monitor. So if you guys can come up with some, I'd be happy.
I would remind you, however, that under the terms of the charter, the commission is required to submit its budget to the county.
Okay.
You don't have veto over everything, but we're required to share it with.
Once it's all done, then
Yeah.
you send it.
Hey, Mr. Willingham, I try to give it back to you and you throw it right in your lap.
The budget, we just want the money.
All right, we're gonna move on to, yeah.
and then that closed session should only take 5 to 10 minutes.
I got a large size.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some more people out of the room here.
Those Russ County.
Okay.
Under 12,
We're gonna move on to number 12. Request to move reserve funds hold it. Accounting services provided.
let's do it themselves.
C, requesting for contract and move services later to the time allocated as well as OT rate used for assistant director for Q1 and Q2 2025.
What was the
I
amount
think our,
of that again?
what's that?
The amount of that again?
The billing,
Yeah.
one is $2,410, the other is $1,550. Two bills.
You said right now the county gives 1,000 a year. And you guys give how many rides?
How many what?
How many rides do you think you do in a year?
How many rides?
I can supply that to you at a later date.
$1.9 million budget.
That's what I mean, like, are we given 10,000 rides or 1,000 rides and we're only investing 18,000? I'm just looking at this, if we invested $1,000 to that, instead of charging you for that.
I
This,
don't understand why you're charging unless it's, have you had a change in, the in the operation that you're charging for each individual's, time and everything to other parts of the county? I understand that you're billing out some, finance, other departments, cost factors to the various parts of the county. My
Mr. Chair.
contention is that we are not county. So we should be under a contract with you to provide, if we want services from you, we should be paying you for those services under a contract, which we do not have. We have a verbal arrangement that was made in the transition from our finance going to your finance and restarting up with a new individual for that.
No better than to do a verbal agreement with a politician.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's basically what we have. We agreed to pay for your finance individual's time to assist us in training our new employee and making the transition over. But that was it. Now we're getting, these bills are related to other issues that are basically not under contract with us.
I think the intention initially was that the county would provide us with certain consultation and oversight services from the finance department. And our finance person was a finance department employee, right?
Yes, it is still.
And but that we would have a specific amount, so many $1,000s a year for that service, not a, a itemized bill for each time that person performed some service. And certainly in one instance, why, if somebody worked overtime this month or this pay period, why they would just have to say, well, my overtime hours, I spent my overtime hours working on the transit program, so I will charge time and a half for the hours that we provided services to the transit service. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, that seemed like chiseling, the way I would put it. But I don't know that the resolutions that were presented to the board, frankly, didn't look to me like they required the expertise of a accounting service at hundreds of dollars an hour to prepare those resolutions. I can't imagine that Mr. Summerfield could not have prepared those resolutions. So why we would have to pay Baker Tilly's rate for those resolutions? Does not make
Can you
sense.
shed some light on that? And he's talking about here, can you give us some more info on how this came about?
Is Chris still on?
Yes,
I think he's gonna have more information than I will.
Can you do that for us, please, Chris?
sure, yes, of course. So, as everyone knows, the previous finance director left. Working with the interim assistant finance director, we noticed that there was a bill for hours for direct work done to RCTC in 2024. So we made the assumption that we should continue to bill directly for work for RCTC. I personally did not know that. It sounds like from what the gentleman just said that it was more of an arrangement for training. So that invoice was sent, and quite honestly, if that was a mistake that we do not bill for our direct time for RCTC, then that should not have been sent.
Can someone look into that farther and see what other than 2024, what the past practice has been?
Yes, we could look into that.
Be okay if we revisit? Is it gonna be an issue if we revisit this again next month? Also, as long as we're gonna be seeing here.
I don't and Mr. Voss has said, the original agreement was a sort of a handshake verbal agreement that we had, which is probably not worth the paper it wasn't written on, as far as the contract is concerned. But there were a couple of practical reasons why we created that arrangement, and it was to cover the costs that the county would incur on an overall basis for the finance department to help us oversee our own, finance department. And that was part of Mr. Boss's comment earlier about getting our finance department in line and, able to serve the needs and provide, we provide an extra audit besides the Department of Transportation audit. We pay how many $1,000s a year? $12,000 a year just to prepare a audit that we then submit to you. That's why we wanted to streamline.
And this has been, it sounds like a lot of this relationship has been built on trust between the entities, and I think everybody in here feels that we should be able to proceed yet with that trust in place. At least I do anyhow. I think we just got to get to the bottom of it, make sure we protect the county's liability here. It's nothing personal against I personally want to see that. I think that you do a lot of good with your commission. So, I think we just got to get some more things answered here for us to give you a fair answer.
I think we've made some progress.
Is that fair enough?
The intent is to make you aware of it, so we could have a discussion.
Yeah, no, and it was good. Is that okay if we
Absolutely.
visit some of this next month and
Absolutely.
more digging on our end and stuff?
Yep.
Sorry, we couldn't really give you any
Oh,
definite
that's
here, but
Gonna go find Rich and lunch.
here. Thank you very much for your time. I know we took over.
that being said, we'll look into if the rest of the committee here, are you guys okay with not making a ruling on number 12 when we dig into this a little farther and revisit this also probably next month, or possibly could do it at the next finance meeting, I guess, whatever we can.
I think what we would like to probably see under number 12 is just a modest 1 or 2 page contract that just says Russ County will provide the consultation, financial consultation services for X number of dollars per year, and we'd be happy to pay that amount on a yearly basis and not, and that's gonna be cleaner for you too, as far as billing is concerned.
And some of us are new, so we don't know what past practice was. I'd at least like to know what past practice was and what that service provided up to. Was it times more than just training? Was there actual some?
During 24, we had the current assistant finance person come out 1 day a week, out to our offices. And that's what we were paying. So when Baker Tilly looks back, that is what they're looking at. But now when Wilk was leaving, then they discontinued that administrative service to us because the person that was out there was going to be moving up into that position.
Let me ask this. So in 2025, I don't remember when Ms. Wilk or Amy left.
February.
February of 24, right?
Yeah,
25, I'm sorry.
5. So were you billed for those type of services in your 25? Is that in your budget?
Part of 25, we were billed for Jamie, for Will.
But that ended when she left?
That should have ended, and we did not think we would be being to be billed by Baker Tilly, because you're the ones who are getting the services from Baker Tilly, not us.
So I guess what I'd like to know too is if you were billed and you paid for that, then I guess my thought is right now, without looking into it, maybe that could possibly offset this too. So I think that's another
I think
to
the
look into.
direct billing issue, like, let's make sure that we properly bill them for Baker Tilly time.
Kind of you making notes of this that we're gonna automatically
May not.
done some on the next month's.
Let's do.
All right.
Yeah, thank you very
Well,
much.
thank you all for coming.
It's great to meet you guys.
Welcome to stay if you want.
Oh, thank you. Good work.
Everybody just gets up and runs off and nobody,
Run.
I mean, Dave, I've never seen Mr. Willingham walk that fast before.
He's got a 12:30 appointment with Rich.
Okay, we got 10, 11, and 12. Let's see, what do we got here? You poor guys have been here for a while.
Question is, what time do you guys want lunch? Just so I know, because I'll order pizza.
Whenever you're buying.
I'm just very get hungry.
If you guys are here for number 7, you got other things to do also. Let's, if no objection, we're gonna go to number 7. Okay, any objection?
Okay.
Number 7, Microsoft Office upgrade IT department.
All right, so we got moved on from property, they okayed, where we're at. Background for you guys, Office 2019 was supported as of October this year, which if we were to stick with Office 2019, opens up a major security risk, as being unsupported by Microsoft. So to get us in line with, the other counties in the state as well, we're looking at going to Office 365, which would incur a yearly cost of $66,240. So they okayed this program, but what we're looking at is how we want to fund that.
Approved it, and I said, send it to finance and they can figure it out. Was there anything like that involved in that conversation?
Something along those lines.
Okay. Thank you.
So So yeah, we're looking at signing a 3-year contract to lock us in at that 66,240. But that
3 or was it? I thought I read something where it was 4. Is it 3?
I think it's a 3-year contract.
3.
It'll go through the main Manson property. I might have it wrong.
How much? 66 what?
240.
Reason I had it in my head for 40 year, but I might have read something else when I got that.
Just. So at that rate, obviously the IT budget can soak up $66,000. So just a few options we looked at was splitting it by department. I know it's budget season and most department heads won't be happy to see that extra thrown right at them. Yeah,
That's it.
throwing at them right at budget time. Otherwise, considered as well, just making that transfer out of the general for the next 3.
So if we did it per computer. Let me look at that number.
These need to be by license.
I mean, because then also county board would get some of it too if we did it per.
That would break it down to about $276 per computer.
I know it's still gonna come somewhere before it's, I'm just wondering going forward into 26, if that would be enough. That's what I just did. I asked them to break down the 66,240 by computer. 276 per.
How many licenses is that?
That's 240 licenses.
Let's say. Time cost or ongoing cost?
No, it's a yearly cost.
Subscription.
And this needs to start in
October.
full payment right out October. That's what yearly, so to renew every
They'll renew every October.
October 1st. What's that?
We don't have 240 employees, do we? How many is that?
Right now, we are using 240 or 237 exchange licenses. And that is what I based our number off of. And considering we are missing some employees as of right now, or we have some open positions right now. That is what I based the number off of, is what we currently are using.
Every single employee uses a exchange.
Yes, sir.
But the unused ones, it was agreed at property would come out of the IT budget.
And I am okay with that.
Say that again, Terry.
If they have, it's not really users, it's by license and or the license is to which computer. If they're getting 240 licenses, if they only have 235 people using them, the 5 extra licenses come out of the IT budget. It's not allocated to,
Oh, the overage.
Right.
That IT budget.
And when somebody gets on or whatever, then it gets charged to that. That was just one option. It was sent to finance with no financing, no budget number. But, and the question was, can it come out of each department's budget? But again, it'd be based on the number of licenses and things like that. And any unused ones would be charged to IT.
Basically, they'd be charging out to departments as they get used.
That would allocate the more accurately versus just a one block $66,000 IT charge.
Well, my guess is too, if each department gets charged for their licenses, they might find a couple, 3 they don't need.
Right.
Now, if that happens, once we commit to this contract, we're stuck at this many licenses,
For
correct?
a year, yes. At the end of a year, I could go down or up.
As the needs of the organization change.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that my other life that I know our IT department does is they watch the licenses like a hawk because they are on Microsoft 365. We are at the end, I think it is a 6-year support cycle. Those are remaining, like what, Office desktop licenses you're trying to get rid of, or you have to get rid of?
We have to, we don't have.
We have to, because Microsoft's not going to support them.
Yeah.
So I don't know way to get out of this cost. I'll just say that I don't know how to get out of the $66,000 cost. And if I'm amiable to allocating that cost across organizations based on the licenses they're using.
Bill's point, it sounds like a lot
It is.
for the employees. Me a little baffled too.
I mean, and that's what a license audit would do, right? If you go through the entities, you probably have a couple of machines running Office too that aren't really tied to a person. Imagine a server.
No, we don't have Office on any of our servers. No.
They're not service accounts like a analytics at scanning.
No, we don't have Exchange running for any service accounts or anything like that. All of our shared accounts do not take an Exchange license.
So maybe where some of these extras are coming from, where an individual may have a desktop at work and then some individuals may also have a laptop.
That's Exchange is just your email license.
Oh. Okay.
We don't have, right now, we do not have Office licenses. We have a certain number of Office licenses. It's what's called a volume license agreement for Office 2019. We have 275 of those. Right now, we have 240 Exchange licenses, which is our email. That is also going to get rolled into this. So what we pay right now for our email is going to get rolled into this. This will also give us Teams licenses for everybody across the organization.
Yep.
So everybody will have Microsoft Teams. Everybody will have the full Office suite. There's a lot of benefits to this. If we don't want to do this, I will have to remove Office from every computer. That there's not an option on that because it will become that much of a security risk to the entire organization.
The old one.
Yes, sir.
Because they no longer do security updates. What happens is because Microsoft Office has I can speak to this a little bit too. They have a whole bunch of connections right out to different third-party entities like Salesforce, Databricks, anybody else, Datadog that you can think of. And once that magic 6-year number hits, they say we no longer do security upgrades, and it opens up an attack vector. So I will support you in that assertion here. I will.
Do summer interns have licenses? Like if they're out at highway mowing or?
I'd say of my 3, I have one who's doing office work right now who does, the other 2 don't.
So not all, okay, that's what I want to make sure that like, somebody's just going around mowing.
No, unless it is requested by the department supervisor that they have an email for some reason, then no, we don't just create them.
And that will affect the county board too, then, for email.
Yes.
Yeah, what'll happen there? So say come next April. There's 4 changes here. Okay, let's just, there's an election coming for the county board next year.
The people who
Go
are,
away and then you get 4 new ones. So you're gonna be stuck paying.
no, it just rotates. It just rotates.
You can rotate and change. Okay,
It's like checking out a library book now.
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, it used to be like you paid for a license and then you were stuck with that license forever. You could use it for everything and, like a Windows
You
95.
can hand your card to somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah, but now it's more like you borrow the license and then when they delete that entity or they put that email address back or take it out of Active Directory probably, that license goes back on your available licenses. So it is reflexive.
Which is how our email licenses work right now. Like, say you left right now, I would delete your email license. It goes back into a pool. And then the person who comes in to replace you, I give them that empty license.
For like the government though, like when you give that license back, they're still subject to open records request for certain time frame afterwards. Do they still like
The-
preserve the data?
The license and the mailbox itself are separate. Like, for example, I have 500 email boxes sitting there without a license on them. They cannot receive or send email. But I can still access them for open records requests.
I got you.
Yeah, that's another. I could want forever.
And those are stored by Microsoft. They will not go anywhere.
Is there anything in your budget towards this at all to use? Or we need a total funding source? What came from property on this?
It was, when they presented at property said, well, I said, and your funding source is, and they said it cannot come out of the IT budget because we don't have the funds for it. And so it was being sent to finance. And then one of the suggestions that you made was charge it. Each department would get charged for the number of licenses that they have for the people in their department. And this would be the time to do it like right away because we're doing budgets for 2026.
I'm on board with that plan.
But he needs the money now for this year allocated, so that's, you can't just go and you still got to somewhere. We put it back there, I guess, going into 2026.
So what you could do is you could do the pull from contingency for the 3 months of 25 that you need it for. And then the directive would be that the 276 a laptop goes into the 2026 departmental budgets.
I think that'd be the wisest thing to do.
Wise, but it's the hardest one to
It's administratively, it's a nightmare, but yeah. And then we could potentially get some reimbursement back from grant funding, some of that stuff.
Yeah, because I have a fund I can get a grant through and I will do that.
What's that?
Because this is-
Limits up the budgets too, now that we're starting, they're all gonna have to for this.
And the rest,
We have to give them
most of us need it. For example, we will not get Microsoft 365.
Who?
Yes, you will.
Everybody gets it
Everybody will.
because Microsoft changed their whole.
I thought we would still be stuck with Libra or Open Office.
No, everybody who currently has an email address will get Office 365.
Okay.
Including all county board members, everything.
What we could do for the 3 months is a line transfer out of the 111, the IT director. Budget being that, we currently don't have an IT director. Could line transfer that over and pay the 3 months. I believe the funds would be there.
And you won't be over budget.
Because that was already factored as a
Exactly.
salary. Yeah.
So this is their latest update here, and you can see at the bottom there, they've still got 64% of their budget left. And these numbers were pulled July 25th. So granted, there's still another month of expenditures, but I believe Walt is confident that they're on track.
Yes.
Over half the year's expenditures, we still have more than half the budget, so
I've been trying to keep it under budget.
appreciate that.
We report this expense in my other life on the IT budget. So I don't know how the internal budgeting is gonna work because in my head, I think the line item lives with IT, but IT needs to bill out like a shared service.
You might get revenue for the other
From
departments.
the other departments. Yeah, they would have to bring budget back from the other departments, which also is a nightmare. But you have a list of the licenses, right? We have the list and like, literally you could just
Yes, I can break it out by department.
break it out by department and, managed by Excel, I guess, MBE. That's the right way to do it. Like that, it's the hard.
Would be a good idea, without causing you, I mean, I know you probably planning to play. Would that be? Would it be good to have a discussion with the department head and make sure that we're meeting, once they know that they're gonna be built, that this is gonna have to go in their budget for 2026, maybe they'll say, well, okay, I need 2 less. I don't know if it's gonna make that much difference.
The only way that they could do that is if they remove email, office, everything from that person. Basically, they wouldn't be able to work.
So let's talk about the open meetings computer. I don't need anything on there but open meetings.
But that's a computer, the person.
Laptop.
Going off email,
But it,
going off email account.
that doesn't, the individual computer doesn't get a license.
Okay,
It's, you get a license.
me, okay.
Wherever you sign in. So if you
Right.
sign in on like 3 different computers, you could access the same one. Yeah. Same
Thank you.
account.
My question. I just had treasurer at Russ County.
That is
How
a,
does that-
that is a shared email box that does not use a license.
Okay,
That is something completely separate.
and I know Rebecca's having photos.
Right. Once again,
Same thing.
that's a shared box.
What about Verna's that I'm still getting that I probably could do away with?
That is not licensed. I have set that one as a shared box as well.
So for me in my office, it's just us 4 people then.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, when I set up what's called a shared email box, if it was somebody that was previous here, like Verna, it removes the license from her. She can still receive emails, but cannot send emails.
Right, well, I like the taking it out of the IT director budget. The 3 months for until 26.
And what's your thought for 2026?
Well, that
We should make.
bill IT, but then each department should have a line. So IT will have an expenditure and then a revenue department and internal transfer.
Well, what I have is upgrade, let's see, to approve the upgrade with the line item transfer for 2025 and bill all departments for use thereafter.
That would cover that.
Okay, you're good?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Undershoot. Need a second?
I'll second that one. Oh, Terry wants to.
I was just say there's got to be a line item in everybody's budgets. They've got a budget for it now.
Read that back one more time, please.
To approve the 3-year contract for $66,240 for the Microsoft Office upgrade with a line item transfer for 2000 and bill all departments per use thereafter.
In the Microsoft Office 365.
I think you should specify the line.
Yeah, line item transfer from IT director or the number.
Okay.
Yeah, 111 to,
Have an infrastructure line.
You just want me to put 111?
There a line,
Actually, I can't see it.
in the IT budget line, transfer from line 111 to line, are you thinking IT support? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm guessing it would probably have to be IT support.
Okay, 216.
216?
Yeah, I don't have the calculation off the top of my head, but the amount prorated for 2025.
Put for 2025, are you okay with that?
Is it possible to make a new line item for this? Or where do your other subscriptions live? Cause I see like, what is that, 611 or 811 down there, subscription principal expense? Other subscription expense, because
There's a GASB question that I'd have to consult with Tanya on. Yep.
I'm thinking too, you almost need this separate, so then you can have a separate line for reimbursement.
it needs to hit this more transparently than just rolling it into IT support.
So in our financial procedures manual, if you go to like the very end, all of those numbers mean something. So like 216 is like the contracted services line.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know it. I'm not saying it's right, but
That's all that, I guess, if that's the code.
we can look into it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All right, all those in favor of motion, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes.
Scott. You know, 360.
I will get the final quotation for you to sign, sir. Or
We're talking.
sign it.
I think one of them got signed contract.
River County.
I do. I have it
I
here.
wasn't sure. You were looking at me. Sorry, Walter. Get out of signing as much.
This is
That's a totally separate one.
this is a different one. Okay.
Do you guys have anything else on here you need to address?
I don't,
While you're here.
I don't believe I do, sir.
Okay.
And Connie, did you want that 3 months rate total?
Sorry, that's me.
I just put for 2025.
Yes, sir.
The close, actually, the one down in the bottom that we need for, he said he's gonna be tied up at 12:30. He thought it'd take 5-10 minutes. Should we just, the room's kind of empty. Should we just do it now?
You think it's available now?
It sounded like yeah, let's do it until 12:30, then he was gonna be.
I'll give him a call. See.
Good time to,
Down here's not. Bring it up to us. We've got some points.
Do I need to leave that? closed?
Hey, are you available to come back to the boardroom for that closed session?
I need to leave for that close.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Run to the restroom anyway, but I just want to know.
Yeah, probably just, well, I don't know what it pertains, but probably on the safe side.
We'll be here in about 3 minutes, he said.
Okay, then why don't we, anybody leave? Let's do number 5 clerk. You can probably hit that one, can't you? Or is that one Ashley, the other Ashley needs to do?
Number 5? Yes, I asked her for it. She's
I kind of,
still looking for candidates?
okay. As the acting chair, Ashley had reached out to Jim a couple days ago because the candidate who ended up having to cancel her interview has expressed interest after she had some personal things. So an interview has been set with that candidate like a week from tomorrow, I believe. So that's good news. The chair is going to put on the next agenda, I believe, the possibility of appointing an interim that was discussed at Personnel Committee. An internal candidate is interested in taking that role on, so that will probably be on the next agenda. We just missed, getting it on this agenda because of where personnel ended
I had to
up.
come back to personnel for October again to finally.
Yes.
Yeah, so it won't be on until the normal October.
Yep. So we could potentially have an interim, and there is that one interested candidate for the full-time position, and that interview, like I said, is a week from tomorrow. So that's the update. Of the finance director.
The fingers in it. All right, yeah, Mr. Summerford. Time is extremely valuable. Until he bills us for it. I'm gonna smile.
Chat?
It's okay. All right, if no objection, we have Mr. Summerfield back in here. We're gonna move right to a closed session. So.
Let me just read off the closed session.
We're gonna,
She left her phone in here. When we go into closed session, do we just verify
that?
it's not on or something? Missy?
Oh, she's part of this.
Yeah, I'm calling her right now.
Oh,
she asked me that
She's in the bathroom.
she needed to be here, and I said,
no, I think she just went to the bathroom though.
I think so. I didn't know if she needed to be.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is a tax deed.
okay.
Okay, 10-4, this is Rich. I'll talk to her there.
Yeah, she was,
We know where this is. This is District 14.
so among our motion to go into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85, para 1, para 2, to confer with legal counsel for the government body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation, which it is or is likely to become involved, the county tax deed of Sunfish Circle and access to Muskrat Lake in town of Rusk. I'll look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Motion from Mr. Undershoots. Need a second.
Second that motion.
Mr. Vincent. Wake,
Yes.
Mr. Schutz,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
No, you can, you can spell that up there.
and I say yes. We are now in closed session.
We off the air.